Hello, and welcome to the Good Old Football Podcast. I'm Matt Edwards. This is one of my favorite episodes to do. I say every year. I've only done this podcast 2 years. It's one of my favorite things to do every year, though, is go through and predict all 256 games on the schedule. What a cool social life I have that's how I spent a large chunk of my Labor Day weekend. But I do it because I like it. We'll go through it. I'll tell you my records for every team. We'll get through that quickly and then get off to the playoff predictions as well. And then at the end of the episodes, I've got my 3 bets that I like in Week 1. That's right, we are in Week 1 already. But let's get right into it. Let's start in the NFC East, where I have the Philadelphia Eagles going 9-7 and winning the division. Dallas comes in second there at 8-8. It's kind of what I said all year. I think they're an 8-8 football team. I'd love to see Andy Dalton get some run in there. The Giants at 5-11, Washington at 4-12. And the Giants and Washington, again, 2 teams I think could really surprise people. If you're looking for a long shot bet to win the division, I like both of them. Washington, I think, plus 1,600. I can't remember what the Giants are, but at any rate, those are some long shots that if you're looking to make some money, maybe look into that. Don't just take my advice. Do the research for yourself. One of my least favorite things, the number 1 seed in my NFC predictions, is the Green Bay Packers. I know how good they were last year in the regular season, even with that soft schedule last year, but there's something about picking the obvious team or one of the obvious teams to be number 1, but I have a rule. I go through, I pick the games, I stick with what I pick. I don't look at the end and say, I don't like that, I'm going to go back and change a game. In the NFC North, I've got the Green Bay Packers going 12-4. I've also got the Minnesota Vikings going 12-4, but I have the Packers winning both games against the Vikings, and therefore they win the division. Minnesota, a very workable schedule, by the way. A very workable schedule. Lions, I've got at 5-11. And the Bears, I'm sorry, 3-13. I know there's quite a few people that listen in Chicago, but look, when you're wondering at the beginning of the year whether it's Mitch Trubisky or Nick Foles, and Nick Foles doesn't win the job, you're in bad shape. To the NFC West, where I've got the defending NFC champion San Francisco 49ers going 10-6. Not as good as last year. They go 10-6, but that's good enough to win that division. I've also got Seattle going 10-6. However, San Francisco, a better division record. They'll both make the playoffs. And then the Rams, I've got at 8-8. The Cardinals, I've got at 7-9. I know a lot of people like Arizona. My buddy Matt Barnes said last week he likes them as a surprise team. I think they'll be better down the stretch, but still going to be some growing pains in there for old Cliff and Kyler out in the desert. In the NFC South, perhaps the most intriguing division in all of football with 2 of the best quarterbacks of all time. But again, I've got Tampa and New Orleans going 11-5. However, I've got New Orleans with a better record. They will end up winning that division with Tampa finishing in second. Atlanta 7-9. I'm always high on them. It never works out. And big-time Teddy Fred and the Panthers going 5-11. Matt Rule going to have some growing pains. Over to the AFC. In the AFC West, I've got the team with the best record in all of football at 14-2, the Kansas City Chiefs. Chargers, I've got going 8-8. They've got a soft schedule. They've got a great pass rush. I think they're going to be a little better than people expect, but still 8-8 and don't make the playoffs. Raiders, I like at 7-9. And look, a lot of people like Denver this year. I went through. They've got a brutal schedule. They open with Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, and then travel across the country after Pittsburgh and Tampa to take on the Jets on a Thursday night game. They stay in the Northeast, go to New England, and at that point, they haven't even played Kansas City either time that they have to play them through the year. I've got the Broncos at 2-14. I don't think they go 2-14, but again, I don't go back and change things. Brutal schedule. I've got them ending up with the number 1 overall pick next year. How interesting that could be. And is that a little bit of foreshadowing? In the AFC East, I like the Bills to go 9-7 and win that division. I think they're going to lose some close games. I think they'll be a fun team to watch because their defense is going to keep them in a lot of these games. And look, as down as I am on New England, Bill Belichick still knows these guys, and I think he'll steal a game from Buffalo. They've got a tough schedule too. Dolphins, I told you I like them to win more than 6 games this year. I've got them going 8-8. The New England Patriots, this is maybe my homer pick because it's definitely the one I hope happens the most. I've got them at 6-10. And the Jets, 4-12. Picked the Jets to make the playoffs last year, to make a wild card. They're just a team you don't count on. In the AFC South, This is a tough one, too. I've got the Titans going 10-6, as I do the Colts. However, the Titans with a better division record. I just can't find a reason not to like them. And I think Ryan Tannehill gets kind of a bad rap, or did in Miami anyway. I think he's similar to Dak Prescott, Andy Dalton, some of those type of guys who you get the right players around him, they can be very good. If you don't have the right guys around him, they're not going to be very good. I've got the Titans going 10-6, the Colts at 10-6 as well. Here's the thing with Indianapolis. You got Phillip Rivers in there. You got a great offensive line, but they've had no time to work together, no preseason games. He's coming across the country into a new system. 10-6, I think you got to be happy with. There's a lot of people who, for whatever reason, think the Colts are going to go out and blow the doors off people. Now, they do have a very soft schedule. And if the run game works out and Phillip Rivers only has to throw it 18, 20, 22 times a game, you could be in good shape. The Texans, as a fly flies around me, the Houston Texans, I've got it 9-7. And the Jaguars, I've got it 5-11. I told you I like them to go over 4.5 wins as well a few weeks ago. I've got the Jags at 5-11. I've also got them. I picked them to beat the Steelers when those two meet this year. Pittsburgh always loses one absolutely absurd game every year. And I think when they go to Jacksonville this year, that's when it happens. Pittsburgh is always good for an embarrassing, stupid loss, and this year I like it to be the Jaguars. Speaking of the Steel Boys over in their division, I've got the Ravens going 12-4, the Pittsburgh Steelers at 11-5, the Cleveland Browns 9-7. They've got no excuses this year. I mean, you've got Odell for a second year. You went out and got Jack Conklin to shore up that line. You drafted the kid whose name I can't remember right now, but you've got plenty of work on that offensive line. No excuses for Baker Mayfield this year. I've got them going 9-7 and making the playoffs is that 7th and final wild card. I also mentioned Houston going 9-7. However, I've got the Browns winning the head-to-head over the Texans. So that could be a big game down the stretch. And the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow and company, I've got going 5-11. I would like it to be better than that, obviously. I think they'll do better down the second half of the year. But any rookie quarterback without a preseason to work and with an offensive line that is a lot less than you would like it to be, 5-11 I think is all right. So assuming you weren't able to do the math in your head as I went along, here are the playoff teams as I am predicting for 2020. Number 1 seed Packers at 12-4. Number 2 Saints at 11-5. Number 3 49ers at 10-6. Followed by the Eagles getting a home playoff game, and your 3 wildcard teams, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, and Seattle. By the way, a lot of people complaining with the extra wildcard team that you're going to have 8-8 teams get in. I did not have any making it. I've got both the Cowboys and Rams going 8-8 and missing out. In the AFC, I've got the Chiefs going 14-2. Ravens at 12-4. Look, those probably aren't going to work out. It's so rare that you have a repeat of the top 2 teams in the conference from the year before. But, again, that's just how I had it shaking out. The 3rd seed, I've got the Tennessee Titans at 10-6. That could easily end up being the Colts. I've got them both at 10-6. However, the Titans with the better divisional record tiebreaker. The Bills, I've got at 9-7. The Pittsburgh Steel Boys, I've got as the first wild card at 11-5. Colts 10-6 for that 6th seed. And the final spot going to the Cleveland Browns, who I don't like predicting to make the playoffs, but I'm going to give them a break. I mean, look, with the running, you look at what they've got on the offensive line, and, weapon-wise, they've got no excuse not to go out and put up 30 points a game. So I'm finally getting on your side, Cleveland. You got no excuse not to do it. Houston and Miami are the first 2 teams I have out of the playoffs this year. Of course, Houston, I've got going 9-7 and missing out. So in the wild card round, I've got the Seahawks going to the Saints. I've got New Orleans winning that. I've got Tampa Bay going to San Francisco. Wouldn't that be fun? That would mean that Tom Brady, who allegedly had interest in going to San Francisco, would play his old backup, Jimmy G. I've got Tampa Bay winning that game. I've got the Vikings going to the Eagles. Those teams met a few years ago back when Philly won it. This time, I've got Minnesota winning it and moving on to play. Listen to this. In the divisional round in the NFC, and again, this is theoretical. I'm an idiot. It probably won't work out this way. But in the divisional round, I'm going to have Tampa Bay going to New Orleans, divisional matchup, 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and Minnesota going to Green Bay, another divisional matchup. I've got the Saints winning. I've got the Vikings winning. I've got the Vikings at the Saints for the NFC Championship in the wild card round in the American Football Conference. I've got Cleveland going to Baltimore. The current real Browns versus the old maybe real Browns. I mean, Cleveland would be on anxiety meds all week long, as they should be. Browns, sorry, but you lose that one to Baltimore. But you get in. You make the playoffs in this theoretical, totally real situation. I've got the Colts going to the Titans, where I have them winning, despite not winning the division. I've got Phillip Rivers and company moving on past Tennessee. Tennessee not catching anyone off guard in the playoffs this year. And the aforementioned Steelers I've got going to Buffalo. And I like Buffalo to win it. I like Buffalo to get a home playoff win in January. Here's what's going to be interesting with these is right now these stadiums aren't anywhere near capacity. Can you imagine a situation where we see in January or even December that there's a big game with a lot on the line, and for the first time, these stadiums are allowed to get at or near capacity? That would be quite an incredible atmosphere, huh? In the divisional round, I've got the Colts going to Kansas City, and I've got the Bills going to Baltimore. I've got the Chiefs winning at home. I'm never going to take Phillip Rivers over Patrick Mahomes. And then in Baltimore, I know I've said that I'm not much in on them as a Super Bowl threat, but I'm going to pick the Bills to upset the Ravens in Baltimore. And here's why I'm okay with doing that, is because I don't think either team is going to beat the Chiefs. I've got Buffalo going to Kansas City in the AFC Championship and the Chiefs winning. So I've got the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and Vikings Saints, I'm going to pick the Saints. And for the second consecutive year, I'm going to pick the Saints over the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. This is also my third consecutive year picking the Saints to win the Super Bowl. I can't tell you why. I can tell you why, but you know why. They've been right there the entire time. I keep thinking to myself, Drew Brees has to get one more. He's got to put himself in that company, in that 2-ring club. Is this the year it happens? I'm saying so. Third time's a charm for me, right? Here's the good news if you're a Chiefs fan. The last 2 years, the team I have picked to lose the Super Bowl has gone on to win the Super Bowl. So last year, I had the Saints beating the Chiefs, just like I do this year, and the Chiefs won it. The year before, I had the Saints defeating the Patriots, and the Patriots won it. So, there you go. Those are my picks. Saints over the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. If they don't do it this year, I don't know, I'm just done picking them anymore. They've got all the right weapons to do it. They've had some bad luck, too. I mean, we know what's happened with Minnesota. This is the year. Maybe. I don't know. No one knows. That's what makes this so fun. However, I think there's a lot to look forward to. Again, Pittsburgh at 11-5. I said a couple weeks ago, they went 8-8 with Duck Hodges, who's now on the practice squad. Cleveland, you got no excuses. None. I mean, it might be offensively, I think it probably is the best roster in football. It's easily top 5. If you go outside of the quarterback, it's probably top 3. New England at 6-10. Let's hope. I mean, I feel bad about Denver. I don't think that they're that bad. I just don't. I mean, a brutal schedule, and there's a lot of people on the Drew Lock train, but it's not that I don't see it. I haven't seen it. It's not that I do not see it. It's just that I have not seen it. My 3 picks for the week when it comes to your potential betting as an American citizen who is allowed to do such things. First and foremost, the Houston Texans plus 9.5 at Kansas City. 9.5 is a big number. The Chiefs, like all teams that win the Super Bowl, got the big ceremony and this, that, the other thing going on. The Texans, the last time they were on the field, were absolutely humiliated by the Chiefs. I think Kansas City wins, but 9.5 is a big number. I think that game's within a touchdown at least, and I like the Texans plus 9.5. Cowboys-Rams, I say take the under of 52. I think that's, if it's not I think it's the second highest total of the week. I think offenses are going to be a little rusty. No preseason games. It's going to be sloppy. Look, everyone's going to be a little rusty, but without the preseason and without those actual in-game reps, I just think we're going to see a lot of sloppiness in week 1. I know how you kids like them extra sloppy, and I think we're going to see that. Cowboys-Rams under 52. And finally, the Jacksonville Jaguars +8 at home against the Colts. Look, the Jaguars for the last month have just been hearing that they're tanking and they suck and they don't care about winning. They get rid of Leonard Fournette. They just everything out there. People are just telling them how terrible they are. They're still NFL players. They would still beat any college team in the world by 1,000. So I like them +8. I just like the fact that I'm always big on this. I'm always big on when a team is told they suck and they're terrible all offseason. We saw remember last year, people thought the Dolphins were going to go 0-16. And the Jaguars are that team this year that people are really ripping on. The difference is they've got a quarterback and a head coach who know each other. And again, I don't know that they beat the Colts. I've got them going 5-11, of course. Jacksonville I've got going 5-11. But you sit here and told how much you suck for a month, you're going to be pretty fired up coming out of the gate. I like that. I always like when teams fire a head coach. I always like them the next week because they're playing, a little bit determined, a little bit emotional, as they like to say. So those are my picks. I'm going to post them on Twitter as well on Thursday night. If you want to check that out, I'm at Matt Edwards. I know I said I'm trying to keep these under 15 minutes when I don't have a guest. I'm at 16:30 right now, so I am going to dip out of here. Enjoy week 1. Enjoy it while we have it. Take advantage of, life. It's my advice. Good one, huh? All right, I'm an idiot. I'm going to quit talking because, as you can see, when I just start rambling, things get ugly. I like the Saints over the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Saints, you got to pull through for me this year. Otherwise, I will never... You guys don't care. All right, it's a Good Old Football Podcast. If you like it, tell a friend, tell a family member, send it to someone via text message and say, hey, check this guy out. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Auto Magic provides our music. Be sure to check them out wherever you listen to your tunes. We will see you next week.